So, hello everyone.
Hello.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming. My name is Marie Nisus, and I'm the president of the Clark County Education Association. And first, I'd like to start off by thanking all the hardworking educators and support professionals who, after working for a really long day, decided to come down here and make their voices be heard. You are our frontline educators. The community needs to hear from you. So I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day to come down here and join us while it's cold and windy. So I certainly appreciate you coming. Thank you, everyone. So I'd like to start with myself. I am a former Clark County education teacher. This is my 29th year in the district, and I have spent my entire career in CCSD working at Title I at-risk schools. I chose that path because our Title I schools typically have a huge number of teacher vacancies. Our historically underrepresented students have always been impacted negatively by the number of teacher vacancies. So we're here today because today is the legislative session, the beginning of the legislative session, and we want to tell you about our priorities. I hear from educators each and every day when I speak to them, when I visit them in the classrooms, and I know the concerns that they are facing, and how we need to address them is why we're here. Our students deserve the best education. If we expect students to learn, we must have a teacher in every classroom. We must do everything we can to not only recruit, but retain our veteran educators. Safety is a top priority for us, and it must be a top priority for our legislators as well as CCSD. Our students and staff should feel safe, whether they're on a school bus or on a school campus or walking in the halls.
That's right. Students
cannot learn if they're in school fearing that something may happen to them. We need to address safety now. Education funding must align with student needs. With funding comes accountability. We need to ensure that we do everything for our students to ensure they are successful, that our graduation rates go up, that our students not only graduate, but are proficient at math and reading. We care about this community, and as you can see, educators are in full force. And what I ask is, if not now, then when?
That's right. That's right.
I feel like we have done this time and time again. Again, this is my 29th year in the district, and we are always fighting for our students. If you care about your child and your child's education, please stand with us to demand accountability, and that we are retaining and keeping our educators by providing adequate funding to address their salaries as well as their benefits, and addressing all the other deficiencies that we have here in the Clark County School District. So again, I thank you for coming, and now I'd like to turn it over to our Executive Director, John Bellardita. He will go into further detail about our legislative priorities. Thank you.
So I know who has my back. So folks, we're doing it today, as Marie said, because this is the opening session of the Nevada legislative work to be done. They meet every 2 years for 120 days, and we live with those outcomes. And that's why it's important to make a difference. This session is very special because we have a governor, a Republican governor, that made the most significant investment in K through 12 in the history of the state of Nevada. $2 billion. $2 billion to raise the per pupil funding level above its current level by over 2,000. For Clark County School District, that's been in dire need for additional funds for a long time. That's almost $600 million more.
Wow.
But it didn't end there. the legislative leadership in both the Senate and the Assembly, Assembly Speaker Yeager and Majority Leader Canizaro, has indicated that they're going to earmark an additional $250 million specifically for educators and support staff raises. That's the equivalent of at least a 10% adjustment on the first year, with money for an inflation escalator in the second year. This has never been done. But we have a problem. As we stand here today, and everybody here is witness to this more than me, we still have several hundred vacancies in the Clark County School District. Tens of thousands of students have started this school year, will end this school year without an effective educator in their classroom. This has to end. If there are no educators, what good is the money? One of the most important pieces of legislation outside of the funding that CCEA is going to be working with legislative leadership and the governor is to create a teacher pipeline, a homegrown teacher pipeline. We have to attract more people back into the profession. And in order to do that, this legislation is going to advocate that each high school has a teacher academy. And when a student, through the CTE programs, and when a student is a sophomore in high school, they're going to be introduced to a career opportunity to teach. And they'll complete 3 years successfully and proficient in math and literacy, and earn 12 college credits and automatically be enrolled in a university or college with their tuition being paid if they come back to the community and teach in our schools. Governor Lombardo, Speaker Yeager, Majority Leader Canizaro have heard our proposal and have indicated they want to work. Assemblywoman Shea Bacchus is going to be leading this effort out of the Assembly. Clark County alone is going to need 14,000 more educators over the next 10 years. The state's going to need 19,000. We currently have several hundred vacancies. If we don't take this type of approach, you're going to have still classes that are overloaded, too large to teach, kids that are going to drop below, and a false graduation rate that does not have these kids learning how to read and write. The next thing that we're going to be proposing is, and you see it on some of these signs, every classroom, every bus, every campus has to be safe. Enough of the assaults, enough of the physical abuse, student on student, student on teachers. In the last legislative session, a bill was passed that handcuffs educators and administrators from taking immediate action to remove disruptive students from the classroom. That doesn't mean these kids don't deserve an education. They need help. And part of what we're pushing for is more wraparound services, mental health, behavioral health, social workers, school psychs. But in the meantime, we have to have these classrooms, these buses, these campuses safe. So that's another thing that we're going to be promoting again with legislative leadership and the governor, Assemblywoman Angie Taylor from up north, who CCA backed in a heated election, is going to be carrying that bill. Another thing that we're going to do, and I want everybody here to listen, and I want the community that's going to be watching the news to listen, we have to figure out how these frontline educators are relieved of the administrative burden they have that prevents them from spending more time on instruction with their kids. There's too much testing to do with teaching kids. We have a bill that's going to be introduced by Rochelle Wynn that's going to address this issue. In addition, some of these schools in Clark County, since the school district has been reorganized, and we have these school budgets that are supposed to be controlled by the staff and parents, we have over $250 million sitting in these schools not being used. And that money should be used on a kid's education. In addition, some of these schools are sitting on $90 million of money for supplies when we're in dire need of supplies for our students. We have a piece of legislation that's going to change it. And how will it be changed? We're not suggesting that that money be given back to central administration. No. We're suggesting that the school organizational teams have the authority to approve a budget, not just the principal, and that that money should be spent the year it is earned, so that these schools don't have these little mini bank accounts and that kids get an education. And how can that money be used? We've seen evidence where we've invested more time, particularly in the elementary school, with after-school reading centers or mentor programs. That money should go to those kind of things. And so we're moving legislation to change that. And then finally, what we want to share with the community is we agree with Governor Lombardo when he says with investment comes accountability. We support legislation that has oversight, fiscal oversight on this money in each and every 17 school districts in the state of Nevada, starting with the Clark County School District. We cannot go to the community. We cannot go to parents. We cannot keep asking legislatures to pass more money for funding when there are no outcomes associated with that funding. We believe that there should be programs in place with this additional money before the school year starts that can demonstrate we will raise the proficiency levels in reading and math. We will make sure when we say the graduation rate is 80%, that these kids know how to read and write when they play. The school district should have 1 year to demonstrate turnarounds with this kind of unprecedented historic event investment on the part of the legislature and the governor. So we're here today because why do we think it's so important to share with the community what frontline educators know? These people behind me are in the trenches. They know what a dollar spends. They know when there was a class that has one too many kids in it, or when there are no books or a chair to sit in, or time to prepare for a class, or to be able to give specific attention to the difficult needs some of our more challenging students have. We need parents to help work with frontline educators to make these changes. Every teacher, every classroom should have a teacher. Every classroom, bus, and campus should be safe. Kids should learn with more instructional time. Get rid of this administrative burden that our people have to deal with. So real time is taught teaching these students. And then finally, let's make sure that the investment is being used for real outcomes. So we're here today, and the educators that are here that represent over 18,000 licensed educators in Clark County School District, we have a history where when we get involved in Carson City politics, we make a difference. Yes. In 2021, we made history. We helped pass the first tax on mining that goes directly into education, the first tax in 100 years. Wow. We're not advocating in this session any additional taxes, but we are advocating accountability and outcomes with the significant investment that's being proposed by the governor and the legislature. With that, I conclude my remarks.